This week, we're helping a young mother return to her roots in Ireland.
But is she looking back at happy childhood memories through rose-tinted glasses?
Do you really know what you're doing?
That's a big question to start with.
This week, we're helping a family move back to Ireland.
After hundreds of years of emigration, the tide has turned. Last year, 70,000 people moved to the Emerald Isle.
But a growing population and a booming economy means rocketing house prices. Could the Wessel family have missed the boat?
Sue Wessel longs to return to her roots, and having grown out of their old home in England, she has finally persuaded husband Chris that now's the time to make the move.
He's been badgered for 10 years.
She always regrets that the day I asked to marry you, you didn't say only if we move back to Ireland.
Yes.
But they've yet to find a home in Ireland. They've sold up in England, and now the whole family are living with Sue's parents in Dublin while they house hunt.
What's more, Chris has no job, and they moved with little idea about the property market.
They have this idealised vision of life in the Emerald Isle and what it will bring them. Our mission is to make that a reality.
And we need to get a move on. Things are getting a bit crowded in her parents' house.
I think with not having your own four walls and your own space and trying to keep the place tidy for mum and dad, with the children being around, it is difficult.
And to add to the stress, the two eldest children, Maggie and Adam, are unsettled as they're temporarily at the local school.
It is difficult, especially because they can't make permanent friends or anything, and the clubs that they're going to, again, are all temporary, so they can't get settled. Because they're not settled, I can't settle.
Ireland has transformed since Sue left. 20 years ago, you could buy a country mansion here for 250 grand.
But now the Wessels will need all the cash they can get their hands on to buy a good-sized family home near Dublin. Period homes are expensive and are few and far between.
But new builds are springing up all over the place.
Ireland is booming and houses are being built everywhere. Just the trucks going through this town illustrate the amount of brick, sand, cement which is going in all directions. But particularly the towns which are close to Dublin benefit enormously from the ripple effect of all the jobs which have come to that city.
So it's going to be no easy task finding Sue and Chris a home.
Do you really know what you're doing?
That's a big question to start with.
No, because it's a big thing that you're doing.
Ever since I moved to the UK, I've always wanted to come back home, especially since I've had the children.
Yeah.
So I have to know, I have to put it to rest at some point and to give it a try and come home.
What is there a priority? Is it location?
It is location,
it?
yeah. I think location is the first priority that we'd be least likely to compromise on.
We looked north of Dublin, but it just didn't do it for us, did it? But as soon as we drove out to Wicklow, I mean, I've got great childhood memories of Wicklow, and it's always been somewhere that I would love to live.
Wicklow is 25 miles to the south of Dublin and just happens to be the most expensive area around here.
The beautiful landscape, combined with its close proximity to the city, has attracted many a millionaire to set up home here.
Chris reckons he'll find a job in Dublin, but is it a bit of a risk choosing Wicklow, which is south of the city, and then just praying for an easy commute?
There's no doubt that Chris will have to make some compromises so that Sue can live back in Ireland.
Certainly not doing things by halves, are they?
No, I mean, the schools, the job,
The house,
the upheaval.
the country.
Yeah, it seems a tiny bit crazy.
Crazy or not, these two are going to need all the help they can get.
Sue and Chris have a budget of around £440,000 and want a spacious four-bedroomed house in a village or rural setting in County Wicklow.
However, we have to include Irish stamp duty, which adds a whopping 6% to the final bill. So that brings their maximum purchase price down to around £410,000. This is a seller's market, my word, it's absolutely buzzing. Most of the houses are going over the asking price, and we had a pretty tight budget to start with, so this is not good news for the search.
Luckily, they are open to either a new build or period property, though these are rare. But even so, this is not going to be an easy search.
Our first house is right in the heart of their preferred area, near the coastal commuter town of Greystones.
But it's going to be a bit of a reality check for Sue and Chris. It's on an estate, as period homes around here are way over their budget.
So, how do you feel about this location?
I love the area.
Ah, so positive start.
But it's right in the zone, isn't it?
We're
we
in
have
the
started
hills, whereby we can see the sea.
The backdrop is just
ticking lots of
absolutely
boxes.
Ah, okie doke.
This house is compact and practical, but it doesn't have a huge amount of space for the money. So will they be prepared to sacrifice space for convenience?
It's priced at €650,000, about £439,000, which, when stamp duty's included, smashes their budget. But deals can always be done.
This layout, I think, is exactly the type of thing you're looking for. Yeah. You've got a playroom in there.
Right, good.
A very nice formal sitting room in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then through here, you've got a really fantastic, light kitchen diner. Just the kind of layout that you were hoping for.
It feels really light and spacious, doesn't it?
It does need a bit of work.
It
There would be
does.
lots of things that I would want to change.
Yep.
Well, that's a promising start. Modern houses like this are always worth considering because they're a more affordable option in expensive areas.
How do you feel about being over here generally now we're actually on the search and in a house?
I love this part of Wicklow. I don't know yet whether this house has actually got the soul I'm looking for in a house, but it's certainly got a lot
Might be a
going for
little
it.
harder trying to find soul in a modern house.
That's the
I think
challenge, and that's why
that
we've
is one
had
of the
this old house, new house. You get the soul in the old, but the practical in the new.
Now, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
None of them are football pitches.
We suspected we would have to downsize in terms of room size anyway. But this is a lot smaller.
Right. So is this a bit of a sobering
Slightly,
moment?
yes. If the rooms were slightly bigger, I would say upstairs this would be perfect.
Yeah. OK. Well, near perfect's quite good for a first house.
So what's it like up here?
I'll let you say what you think first.
OK. The whole place feels quite
Up here
enclosed, doesn't it?
I mean, the landing is spacious, but the rest of the rooms seem very claustrophobic to me.
This is a tiny room, isn't it?
Well, how are we doing? First house?
The location is fantastic, and the cul-de-sac and a nice safe place for the children is fantastic, but the house isn't big enough.
Well, we are in a very, very expensive area. That's why you wanted to live here, because everybody else wants to live here because it's stunning. But perhaps if we moved the search a little bit one way or the other, we'd find you a bit more space. So we have to widen the search area, going further south of Dublin to the village of Red Cross.
It's just off a main road into Dublin and near Wicklow town with its good rail links. But either way, a commute would take Chris well over an hour.
The village is a bit off the beaten track, some 40 miles south of Dublin. But the upside is you get much more space for your money.
The rural position might just sway them, and there's plenty of room, with an excellent school nearby.
It's on the market for €540,000, around £365,000. Amazing value considering the space.
I'm going to address from the very start your fears about the bedrooms, because in the last house that was clearly such an issue. The idea of having guest room, children's room, your furniture. You were like, my furniture, how am I going to fit it? So I'm going to take you straight upstairs.
OK.
Right, OK.
So that we can address this.
We never get to see the bedrooms.
No, we're not worried about the bedrooms. We've got a much more important room to look at, I tell you.
Now, Sue, I'm just going to take you through this. Box room, guest room ensuite, master bedroom ensuite, huge family bathroom, and 2 beds just like you wanted for the boys.
This is much more like it.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Much more like it.
Great. Well, let's go downstairs and see what the boys think. Speedy search is a focus search.
Now, what I really wanted to show you was this. So you've got all the rooms upstairs that you need.
Excellent.
You've still got your playroom.
Wonderful, which is really important.
This
doesn't come with it, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. Whether it's a boys' playroom and a pool room, or whether it's a kids' room, it certainly works for me. It really sits nicely.
Yeah, it does.
It's big enough. It's well laid out,
Yeah.
it's in good nick, you can
Yeah.
move straight in.
Yeah.
Rural views, community.
I love the rural views.
School about 2 miles
Yeah.
away. Well priced at 365. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
So the size of the house seems to appeal to them, but Chris is obviously thinking practically.
What do you feel in terms of commuting and travel?
It depends where I do end up working with this one, because it is that much further, depending on which method I took to get to work.
He sounds as though he's seriously considering an hour and a half's commute, which I think is amazing.
Would you do that?
Not a chance. Not a chance. He's got 3 small kids.
Right.
Right.
We've looked around.
Yep. Verdict?
I think it's amazing how much more house you get for your money when you move a little bit further out, obviously. What we don't know at the moment is enough about the area that this house is in.
Okie doke, so
Good.
we've got a maybe in the box.
Yeah, we have.
Right.
They clearly like it, but do they like it enough for Chris to contemplate a killer commute? Neither modern house has really inspired them, so we need to show them something completely different. And we've unearthed a cracker. We've come a bit further inland to an area of outstanding natural beauty, far away from new housing developments. Seeing as Chris doesn't seem to worry too much about long commutes, we feel justified in selecting this house, a dream location on the shores of Blessington Lake. There's a good school in the nearby village of Valleymount and a vibrant local community. There's an abundance of space here, both upstairs and down. They could put their own stamp on it. It needs updating and there's plenty of opportunity to do so. The house is on the market for in excess of €560,000, around £378,000.
It's massive.
Oh, wow.
We have a bit of a treat for you this morning.
You can say that again.
A 360-degree panoramic view.
It's spectacular.
He wanted rural Ireland. Come and have a look.
Look at that lake.
It's a really classy location.
I'm just speechless. I'm very emotional.
Oh, God, that's incredible.
I'm pleased that you scarcely even stopped to look at the house.
Sue's gonna bluff.
We haven't looked at the house yet.
Because that's exactly what Kirstie and I did. You've just drawn to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Although we're not in a village, we are between two.
Right.
It has been lived in for many, many years by the same family. They've got masses of kids, I think 8 kids.
Oh,
God forbid.
Yeah.
And
Rather
they
than
are
me.
now downsizing and moving on. Some properties are about the house and some are about the location 100%. And this is...
It's the location.
Yeah.
Which was always our priority
Yeah.
anyway. The location was number one.
I'm shaking. I can't believe it.
You're shaking? Chris, why are you shaking?
Just 'cause the view, it's just... You don't imagine places like this really exist. You haven't told us what it costs yet.
The asking price is £378,000.
Yeah.
We don't think a £378,000 offer will clinch it.
Yeah, OK.
Right.
And we can't pretend otherwise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not bringing you to see a house which is outside your budget.
Yeah.
Because we're in a seller's market, the vendor is hoping to get more than their asking price. But we reckon it's worth showing them. You'll never know till you try.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What about you?
I do. I'm amazed. Right, we need
The other
Kirstie to
two
tell us what we
pale
can do up
into
here.
insignificance.
Yeah.
It seems we've got a winner here.
At the moment, it's just all with the heart. We're just fallen in love with this place, I think,
Yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah.
But I think we need to start thinking about it with our heads a little bit more now and the reality of living somewhere like this. And will it work?
We've got another one to go and see, so
Yeah.
let's do that anyway.
OK, yeah.
But we know what we're up against, so
Yeah.
then we can always come back and maybe try the journey,
Yeah.
find out a few other bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OK,
Definitely.
sounds great.
Fantastic.
Well, that's blown them away big time. And I'm not surprised, as it's a one-off property and nothing else comes close.
But we mustn't ignore the commute to Dublin, which would take an hour. And in the depths of winter, in the dark?
And I'm worried that the house might sell for a much higher price, taking it out of their financial reach.
So, before they get completely carried away by the lake house, we want to make sure we've covered all the bases. And we're going to show them another very different, older property much nearer to Dublin.
Right, here we are, Newtown Mount Kennedy, back in your comfort zone. Right. But obviously not.
You don't sound very convinced about
There's no lake.
Well, we can't make a lake everywhere.
This unusual house is on the market for €625,000, around £422,000. A bit over budget, but it has been on the market for 2 months, so they might be open to offers.
It looks pretty small from the outside, but I think they'll be surprised when they get through the front door. There's a huge extension at the back, giving masses of living space.
Now, this is a very unusual house for all sorts of reasons. Either it's going to completely float your boat and light up your faces like the previous house did, or you're going to say it's not for us.
Initial impression is it's a bit disappointing, but let's see what the inside can do for us.
This room is amazing.
It is spectacular, yeah. The main road is very off-putting.
Yeah.
It detracts from the impact of this room immediately before you even walk in the door.
You've got this lovely big light kitchen.
Yeah.
That is, isn't it?
This house was always going to be a love it or hate it. It is huge, but it is also a little bit jumbled.
Yeah.
The only purpose in our being here is to make sure that you're absolutely confident that not only have we found you the house that you want, but we have educated you enough to know that it really is the house that you want.
I think the last house that we saw was something that we ultimately would have aspired to have, that we thought was way out of the question given the budget we had and the property prices over here. So to stumble across something like that with the view...
Stumble across it!
But with the view, with the floor space and everything.
Search and work.
What do they think we do for a living?
So, despite the more practical location and the space, this house just doesn't cut the mustard. There's only one property for Sue and Chris, so it's back to the lake house.
Sue wants to check out the local amenities, while Chris's main concern is how long it takes to drive to Dublin.
We've been told it's about an hour away, but since the commuting time is such a crucial issue for these two, the only way to make sure is to get out the map, don the driving gloves and drive.
Great. Got a stopwatch?
Back by lunch.
So while Phil and Chris tear up the country roads, Sue and I check out Valleymount and the local school.
Now, there are 110 children in this local school, so it says a lot about how many young families are living in this area. You've got the church, small shop and a pub here. 10 minutes from Blessington, where there's a small supermarket, and then obviously you've got Naas, which has got everything you'd want in terms of the bigger supermarkets. So it's not like you're in any way cut off.
No, I don't feel cut off here, I have to say. I feel you've got the best of both worlds.
Sue's happy, but it's a bit early to celebrate with a pint. Let's hear Chris's verdict.
Well, verdict?
Not good, I'm afraid. It is. It's only around 20 minutes from here.
She didn't rise to that
No,
at all. You're buying it, Chris.
Yeah.
Not with that grin on his face.
I don't care how long it is. Hour and 20 minutes from here to the outskirts of Dublin, and then 40 minutes on the way back.
It's doable.
It's not out of the question, certainly. So I think let's have another look at the house and
For a rethink.
see if we think we can do that.
It's really important to check out things like commuting times when making a big move like this. Do your homework about transport, schools, local shops. It's time well spent.
So, we've got to work out the practicalities of living in here today. Where you'd put things, how you'd live.
Yep.
We know the view's good.
Yeah.
We know we're all taken with it.
We thought we'd make that more of a tranquil
I mean, this
place.
is more of a daytime room. This is your grand picture on the wall. And once nighttime comes, it could be a little chillier.
That is the sort of feature of the room. Other places we've seen, you'd have a fireplace or something to draw the attention to. Here it's the window.
That's what's so great about this house. Forgetting the view and all of that for a moment, it's a very practical house. There's so many options within it, aren't there?
Yeah.
You almost need to live in it for a little while and
see how it shapes up.
what works.
It's very flexible.
It is, yeah.
The house does need updating, but Sue and Chris can move straight in here, which in their present circumstances is vital.
We've got to not be thinking about the view. We've got to be thinking about, that hour and 20 minutes. I mean, genuinely, what do you think about that?
Even taking the view out of the equation, the floor space in the house.
Yeah.
The actual village itself, the location, the school, the proximity to shopping centres and local shopping and all of that is perfect.
Sue's already moved the furniture in. Looks like Chris will have to swallow hard and face up to life behind the wheel.
Now it's up to Phil and me to clinch the deal, but that's not going to be easy.
It certainly isn't. Remember, we're in a seller's market over here, and this is no ordinary house.
The vendors want over 560,000 euros. That's around 378k.
You've got 650,000 euro in total, including stamp duty and the work you need to do to that property.
Yes.
Now, we know they've had an offer refused at 500,000 euro.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make an offer on that property? And if so, at what level?
I would like an offer to be made, would you?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
It would be nice to get it under the asking price, if at all possible.
540,000?
I think 540 would be...
I think it's a good benchmark.
Yeah.
So I've got the card of the agent here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give her a call?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Stop inking it out. Get on the phone.
Chris and Sue wanted to offer 540,000. Well, okay. Thanks, Catherine. Thank you for that. Okay, brilliant. Bye. He is fierce.
She's putting that offer forward.
She's putting that offer forward very reluctantly. They have said they're looking for something beginning with a 6.
Yeah.
And she was talking about properties going for 700. This is not going to happen overnight, clearly. It's a case of building up a relationship with the estate agent, watching to see who else is making an offer on that house, and gently coming towards a point where you can afford and they can afford to take your offer.
Mm-hmm.
But a few days later, worst case scenario. The property is withdrawn from the market. But I always think these things happen for a reason. It gave Sue and Chris time to reflect. And guess what? They've decided to stay in England. So are they happy?
But I've always wanted to go back and had this burning ambition to go back, and now
We're back here.
we're back here again.
Which is good.
It is good.
Now we know
It is
where we
good,
want to
and
be,
I
don't we?
put it to bed now, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm okay with it now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I would have always thought, oh my God, I always want to go home. I want to go home. But
You know now
I'm
this
okay
is
with the
home.
fact. Yeah.
The grass may be very green in Ireland, but not green enough for Chris and Sue. This week, we're in Bristol to mop the brow of an anxious young doctor as he takes his first step on the property ladder.
He's already making Kirstie's blood pressure rise because he's treating his house buying a bit too clinically.
I can't read what's going on with him.
He comes in and goes, Ian Ansem is in a proper pickle. At 33, he's a first-time buyer and should be in the perfect position. But there's a problem. He's petrified.
The mere idea of buying has left our doctor paralysed with fear. With no experience and little knowledge of what to look out for, he's come to us for some help.
It's been a bit scary, to be honest. The whole process of buying a place and going through the logistics of finding somewhere and then finding a nice place and then not getting horribly ripped off with the whole process has been, it's put me off.
After years as a skint student, Ian is now a fully trained clinical psychologist and has enough money saved to make his mark and buy. But this one is a panicked practitioner.
I hate haggling with people pretty much. I think I pay over the odds for almost everything. I've had jobs before where I've worked with some really scary, dangerous people, and that isn't at all freaky to me. But for some reason, dealing with bloody estate agents fills me with a sense of utter dread. I'm just the person trying to buy a house, and I feel like a little swimmer among sharks.
They're not sharks. They're estate agents with something you want. Property.
A generation ago, house hunters of Ian's age, they might have been on their 3rd or 4th house by now. And nowadays, there are literally thousands of Ians right across the country vying to get their first step on the ladder.
Ian really needs to get a grip, and fast. He's wasted too much time and money on rent for tiny rooms in shared houses. Time to grow up. Luckily, he has rented in Bristol for 5 years and knows where he wants to be.
The areas I think I want to live are kind of the green, leafy places, but not too far from the city centre, and there's quite a lot of that around, actually, Bristol. That's one thing Bristol's quite good for.
Well, seeing as Ian's a doctor, I think we should adopt a scientific approach to this search. The plan is to encourage him to go for somewhere that needs work or even buy in an up-and-coming area.
Well, he is a late starter and needs to be outperforming the market.
I lack that hard-nosed kind of cheeky thing that you need to be able to knock people down. I think I'd just be tempted to give the asking price, or perhaps 2,000 more, you know.
It's lucky we're here, but it's going to be tough.
I hope he's ready to take on the challenge.
Can we talk about what it is you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for a place not too dissimilar to where I am right now. It's quite spacious, and I'd like to keep that spaciousness. Somewhere quite quiet, quite leafy, a little bit tucked away from the world, and but not too far from the city centre.
And what are the drawbacks of the rented place?
It's kind of damp and cold, because the walls are very thin. Also, there's a mouse in the place. I have a little mouse living with me, which is just...
You know what causes that? Eating Vicky's in bed.
Is that right?
I'm not at all troubled by the fact that you don't want to deal with estate agents. What does worry me, though, is if you were afraid of the physical structure, if you thought you wouldn't be able to paint walls, replace a kitchen, etc., etc.
Right. No, that doesn't worry me at all, actually. I'm not massively capable at doing things like that, but I'm enthusiastic about it.
So you're quite happy to go along for the ride with Phil and I?
I think so, and see what you've got to suggest to me.
The thing that I'm worried about is that we'll find something. Scared. No, I'm not scared. I'm just worried that we'll find something, and if it has damp, or if it doesn't have the right windows, or if it doesn't have this, or if it doesn't have that, it's going to be a problem.
He says he's open to compromise. I think our problem will be finding a house in budget that's not on a busy road, that hasn't got a mouse.
Ian's next worry is his budget. For a maximum of £195,000, he wants a 2-bed flat with space, light and a garden if possible. In the past 5 years, house prices have rocketed in North Bristol, with more and more people wanting to move here.
This means we've got some serious competition.
I can come and see it at 2:30 this afternoon.
Properties here are selling before agents have time even to print up the details.
So many of the flats that I'm coming up with are all developed flats. They're all going to look the same inside. It's not really what Ian's looking for.
We could show Ian a heap of these, but we wouldn't be doing our job if we only showed him the easy option.
So we've tracked down some stunning properties that will not only suit Ian, but will also add value, allowing him to play catch-up with the market. Remember, he's 33 and a first-time buyer.
But he's going to have to realise that compromise is the name of the game. And our first property means saying bye-bye to quiet leafy lanes. It's on the market at £180,000 and is packed with potential.
This flat is the biggest in terms of square footage that we've got to show you.
Right.
But it's on the busiest road of all the flats that we're showing you.
Yeah, that's really quite bad. This is a road I hurtle down, sometimes at great speed, and other people do too.
There are other greater reasons for bringing you here, and it's about value for money in terms of square footage here.
Right.
This is a very big flat.
We're determined to show Ian that if he can get over the road noise outside, this flat has lots of promise. It has a big separate kitchen, a light bathroom and 2 good-sized bedrooms. It's also crammed with original features, great news for resale. But Ian would need to be prepared to get his hands pretty dirty if he was going to do the work I believe this flat needs.
That room we've just come from, I envisage as a bedroom. Okay?
Oh, right, okay.
This paper structure comes down. This paper structure comes down. What we're making use of is that lovely window.
Right.
So come with me.
Okay.
So this is gone. All gone, all gone.
Oh my God, right.
So your sitting room runs from this wall right through there.
Okay.
It's across the whole of the back of this very wide house.
So what happens to the kitchen?
The kitchen is there.
Cleverly in the bathroom.
And the bathroom would be moved, so it's next to the sitting room. No more dark, dingy corridors.
What you want to do is utilise the quiet at the back of the house, create a really good entertaining space, and add value enormously to this property, which I really think that would do.
Right. Is it difficult to change bathrooms from one room
not
to
at all.
Is that not?
The difficult thing is to move the plumbing. Kitchen and bathroom plumbing is interchangeable.
Is that right?
You have to move the gas.
Okay.
But that's it.
I do hope we haven't pushed it too far with this one on the road. It's a strong flat, but he's certainly going to need some imagination. Also, I have to hope Kirstie doesn't go frightening him off with too many stories about knocking down walls.
No one should be frightened of knocking down walls, but this flat does need more than a facelift. It would be straightforward and reasonably cheap, but the look of fear in his eyes tells me he just can't see that.
Hello.
How you doing?
That was quick.
Wasn't it?
Well, what do you think?
I think on balance, the only bit I like about that flat is the lovely windows in the back. It's just the noise of the traffic would absolutely do my head in, I think.
You made that point clearly at the beginning. We just thought, we've got to throw it in.
We thought
because
the
it's
space.
big.
We thought
Sure.
the space.
So space isn't an issue. Ian just wants those quiet, leafy streets.
Well, his wish is our command, and our next appointment is actually a house, so probably not what Ian is expecting. But as he needs to take a giant leap onto the property ladder, this house and location could be the perfect launch pad.
We're here in St Paul's, which is next to Montpellier, which is next to St Andrews, which is the area you want to be in.
Yeah.
So we're 2 areas away from your favourite, but I think this area will benefit from the ripple effect of what's going on in St Andrews.
And what's the ripple effect?
Improving areas, pushing out and making the areas next door to them better.
If Ian bought here and the buzz of St Andrews spreads, property prices will soar. This end-of-terrace house has been on the market for 5 months, so a deal could be done on the asking price of £192,500.
We think it's got bags of potential, and because it's a house you get a more traditional layout, which might suit our punter.
This gives Ian 2 reception rooms, a separate kitchen and 2 bedrooms. He even gets his own garden. It may be quirky at the moment, but nothing a good facelift wouldn't fix.
I really like the layout. I like the fact that it's got a huge bathroom, 2 decent-sized bedrooms, your own front door, which doesn't open onto your sitting room.
Well, yeah.
You can strip the floorboards, you can tap dance all night. It's nobody's problem but your own.
Right.
I think that's the joy of owning a house, freehold house, is that you've got complete control about what happens.
Sure. I'm slightly confused about the leasehold, freehold thing, but...
If you live in a flat and you want to change the floor, you're going to have to ask permission of the freeholder. You only own the lease. He owns the structure, the fabric of the building.
OK.
In a house, you're the freeholder. You do as you please.
I've got a feeling, though, that none of this really matters to Ian. He's driven by decor and it will start to drive me mad. Just a quick lick of paint would totally transform this house.
Is it grabbing you in any way?
It sort of does. It sort of does. Not enormously, I have to say. It's just very oddly decorated. It's not how I'd have it.
I'm a bit of a chicken about the possibility of rain or cold.
Right.
So if you don't mind, I won't accompany you and Phil into the garden.
Actually, it's steep and she's got heels on.
Oh.
So come on.
Hasn't she just?
While I can see that this is hard for Ian, he needs to see that in this case, we're the doctor, he's the patient, and he needs to take our advice.
I don't know what we're going to do with Ian. He's very, very, very conservative about this entire process. He needs to think bigger and think longer term.
Do you appreciate the strength of having something that would work as an investment as well as somewhere to live?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And for someone, this would make a great investment and a nice living space, probably for someone with more stuff than me and with more people in their family than me.
I know it doesn't bother you now, but it's going to bother you when you come to sell it if you haven't maximised all that you could have done.
This is true, I understand that.
I'm not sure he does, you know.
You can take a horse to water.
But you can't make it buy a house.
No. He'll end up in a small little flat.
I know.
That he'll need to sell in 3 years and it won't have gone up in value.
I know.
The more I walk around this house, the more I don't like it, actually. It's just really steeped in other people, and I'm not liking this at all.
So is there any chance of that growing on you, Ian?
I wouldn't say even the slightest chance.
Really?
Actually, no.
Ooh. 2 down, 2 rejections. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
With a budget of £195,000, Ian needs to stretch himself now to buy somewhere that will earn him money in the future. We're just not getting through, and to cap it all, our trained therapist is being a bit too clinical when it comes to the search.
But we can't deny that we're attempting a tricky balancing act. We're taking a first-time buyer, trying to find something he will really love, and something that will add value.
So our next property is the Ian-friendly option. It's clean and totally move-inable. It's very close to the centre of town, but on a quiet street. It's on the market at £175,000.
This is the kind of street I think I thought of when I was going to move to Bristol. My sister used to live here, and she'd take me on weekends away from this dreadful boarding school I was in, and she'd bring me here, and there'd be these lovely, gorgeous Georgian houses, and so this kind of does fit that bill.
But for a peaceful lane with his budget, we've struggled with space. Will he cope with the open-plan kitchen?
And the other rooms in the flat are also smaller than we've seen. But it does have a good layout, and that wouldn't need altering. No walls to get scared of here, Ian.
On the raised ground floor, so we get fantastic ceiling height.
It is a nice room.
Now let's address the first issue,
Yes.
the kitchen.
Right. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have a kitchen that is so close to the dining room. But, you know, it's not a horrendous obstacle. In my mind, I had a bigger kitchen planned. But, as I've said, I'm prepared to compromise on a bunch of stuff.
Now, bathroom.
Ooh, I like the bathroom.
With a big window.
It's a really nice big window, and it's a really nice bathroom.
There's wooden floors underneath the carpet right through the floor.
Phil, come on, you know the rules. Nearly all leases say that you can't have stripped floors because it's a sound thing.
If you walk on a floor and the floor is attached to the wall, to the fabric of the building, that's the way the sound moves up and down the building.
Okay.
So if you have a floating floor that effectively floats above the existing one, the sound doesn't transfer.
Now here we've got the little study, which is
Okay.
great, and here we've got the master bedroom.
Again, nice big window, isn't it?
Shame it's not a bigger room.
That's not a huge problem for me, I don't think. I'm
Really?
not after a massive bedroom. I'd rather have a bigger lounge living space.
That's what you always say, isn't it? You don't spend that
Much time in your bedroom. No, a bedroom should be light and sunny.
Yeah.
And a place where you want to wake up in the morning.
So what do you think to it then, Ian?
Well, I really liked it. It was great. It's the only house I've seen the only flat rather I've seen so far that I would think about putting an offer in.
Okay.
Oh, great.
We're not surprised he likes this place. It's easy peasy to move straight in. But he could do better. The problem is he doesn't get excited about the concept of adding value. But as a late starter, it's something he really needs to grasp.
But maybe our next appointment will really get the juices flowing, as it has a similar vibe to the last one, which he clearly liked. But this one's much bigger and in tip-top condition. Mind you, it'll cost him. It's 10 grand over budget.
You're in for a treat here, Ian.
Am I?
Well, it's a matter of opinion. I mean, what do you feel about the street and...
The street's nice enough. It's on a corner, isn't it?
Which I always think is very good because you get the vistas.
And this is a nicer kitchen than the other flat.
Throughout the last few days, it has become clear that Ian wanted somewhere for here and now and not for its future potential. So this should be a winner.
I don't get particularly excited when I see houses.
Why
like
is
this.
that?
It feels very much like a show home, and it feels like it's all been done. And if I was to move into here, I would camp in here. I wouldn't want to do anything to it, and I wouldn't feel compelled to do anything to it. And being as how the price is quite high, I wouldn't be able to do anything to it.
Well, we better move on then.
Okay.
Oh, he's a contrary one.
So you see what we're up against here. 1 minute it's too big, then it's too small, too finished, not finished enough.
You're right, Phil. But I think this flat will have taught Ian a lesson and he'll have seen how short-sighted he's been. There's just no room to A, put his own stamp on the place, or B, make money and play catch-up with the market.
The only one so far that has slightly impressed the good doctor was the smallest flat that had the least potential of the lot.
I'm not prepared to let Ian settle for that, so we've made a final splurge on the blower to all the estate agents, and it might have turned up a little gem.
It's 17 grand over budget, but we love it and have managed to get Ian in the door before anybody else.
And it's right in the heart of his dream patch, still on a quiet road while 5 minutes from bars and restaurants.
But Ian's tough to please and even harder to read. Could this one be the cure?
Yeah, it's really, really nice. From the outside, it's beautiful, I'd say.
And the position?
Lovely. Nice road, nice area.
Did you see that? A smile.
Now, the joy about this is that it's a maisonette, but it starts at the bottom, so you really have the feeling of your own house.
Okay, yeah.
On paper, this flat has it all. 2 levels, 2 good-sized bedrooms upstairs, a kitchen, dining room, communal garden and off-road parking.
This flat feels more like a house. It's simply massive. And although it does need some redecoration, the decor's not bad enough to put Ian off.
With some TLC, this place will easily make Ian a profit and be a great space to live in.
It's nice, I like it. There's nothing that makes me not like it at the moment. And it has a view, which is something we've hitherto not seen.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a really spectacular view from almost every window. So, this is your dining room. Do you reckon to that?
Well, it's not something that I require, but I guess it's a bonus.
Now, obviously, there's potential for knocking down that wall and making a great big kitchen diner, which would be lovely.
Wouldn't it just? That'd be with 2 windows in it, it'd be very light.
Go and have a look upstairs, Ian, and see what you think.
He's a man of very few words. I can't read. I can't read what's going on with him. He comes in and goes, Maybe he loves this flat, but I'm certainly not the one that knows it.
It's a funny little room, but it's, I mean, as studies go, it's great. We have just the most spectacular view here. This is rapidly becoming my favourite flat. Hello.
Interesting up there?
Yeah, it was actually. It was nice. Yeah. Amazing views, and the bedroom was fine, and a really nice-sized little study.
What do you think it's on at?
I would imagine it's on for somewhere in excess of 190,000.
207,000.
But we would be taking the mick if we were showing you a flat at 207, which we thought couldn't be purchased for less than that. And we wouldn't do that. You're going to have to sleep on it.
I'm going to have to think about it and pace around a lot and generally panic a lot this evening and get back to you tomorrow.
Okie-doke. Okay. Right.
Kirstie's going to buy me a drink.
I am not going to buy you a drink.
I think I need a man-to-man talk with Ian, but first he's got a lot to think about. He has to decide whether he wants a property to suit him right here, right now, or this over-budget maisonette that will stretch him, but is a fantastic investment for the future.
So how are you doing this morning, Ian?
Well, I'm in a state of some anxiety, but I'm doing okay. Overnight, I've come to the conclusion that the big, expensive flat is the one I want. Quite a lot more than the other one.
I'd encourage you to stretch now, to stretch financially now, because if in 18 months' time it then becomes comfortable, I think that's a sensible thing to do. Well, listen, let's finish up the coffee and go and meet Kirstie.
Okay.
So the only one in the running now is the over-budget last-minute find. Yesterday, Ian loved the place for its space and location. But how does he feel today?
I have to do what most people do when they buy a flat for the first time, is they have to scrimp and save for a couple of years, and it would put me in that position, but in a way that's encouraging because that's what I feel I should be doing. I'm excited by it, I think, more than nervous. Obviously I'm nervous, but I think it feels like it's a thing I should be doing now. It feels good.
Ian's really gaining confidence and seems to be positive about this property, but there is still the question of the work that needs doing.
Ian, we spoke with the agent and also the vendor of the property himself. He's had a quote done for complete overhaul of all the windows of this flat for a little under £3,000.
Right. Okay.
The other bit of paper I've got is a quote done for the management company of the building to fix this damp patch in the dormer window. Quote of £1,233.
Okay. It would cost me that amount of money?
No, it wouldn't. No. The service charge, which is collected, I think is £30 a month.
Okay.
Would pay for this.
Right, sir.
Because there's enough saved up in the sinking fund.
Okay.
I think we need to go and put ourselves in a bit of neutral ground.
Right. Let's go do that.
Top marks to Ian. He's taken our advice and pulled it together and is ready to make the biggest decision of his life. But what about the high asking price of £207,000?
I am incredibly loath to go over 200,000. That really would be killing me.
I wouldn't let you go over 200,000. You can't afford to make that flat into what it needs to be for you, for Ian's home. Oh, I think the answer is we shouldn't muck around. We should get on the telephone, if that's okay with you, Ian, and
Absolutely.
get on with negotiating.
Please do, and give them hell.
Well, let's talk numbers.
I'd like to start at 194, 195. I'd like to end at about 197.
That would be fantastic for me.
Stuart, hi. I won't beat around the bush. We've got £194,000 to offer. Yeah. Yes. Oh, Stuart! We can't clear two. We can't clear two. We can't. We just can't. Okie doke. Brilliant. Bye. He said that his client wants something beginning with a 2. Well, that suggests to me that that flat was valued at 200,000.
Let's cut to the chase. Go back to the agent. 197
or bust.
Right. I'm bullish about this. I was sitting with Ian when you called, and he looked at me and he just said, 197 or plan B. Okay, brilliant, bye.
Neatly done, if I may say so myself.
I wanted to reflect Ian's confident tone on this.
Yeah. Put the emphasis back on them, let him sweat about it for 48 hours. It's not going to be snapped out from under you.
So the offer of 197 grand is on the table. But the vendor isn't budging, so overnight Ian has agreed to climb an extra grand, and lo and behold, it's accepted. 3 months and several more sleepless nights later, the doctor's in the house. Well, flat.
I've got this big plan to take a sledgehammer to the wall, separating the kitchen and the dining room, and thereby making this enormous, fabulous room.
Ian, I'm so proud. This week I'm back in Northampton, catching up with two boys who drove me to distraction.
A year ago, Andrew and Ian wanted a new house, but they had zero deposit and they knew zero about the property market. So it was up to Phil and I to put those two through a first-time buyer's boot camp. And it wasn't pretty.
I wouldn't be prepared to leave Birmingham and move into something like this. I really wouldn't.
If they choose not to listen to our advice, that's absolutely fine. We've given it.
It's not fine.
It's always been hard for first-time buyers. They have to find the money, overcome their nerves, and make the right decision. That was the case for Andrew and Ian. But after 4 years of renting, they were sick and tired of lining their landlord's pockets.
In renting accommodation, it is throwing dead money away, as we have been now for 4 years. So it's time to get ourselves on the property ladder.
When we first met Andrew and Ian, they were living in a pristine pad and loving their rental luxuries. But they had spent £30,000 in rent between the two of them over 4 years. Ouch.
25-year-old Andrew Donald is a retail manager in Birmingham, and 26-year-old Ian Salmon is a staff nurse in Northampton.
The boys rent in Birmingham, but house prices in the city are way out of their league. They've decided to up sticks and buy a place in the more reasonably priced Northampton.
I've got a lot of history there from going to university. Still got friends there. I do like the Northampton pubs and bars. It's got a good buzz about it, a good vibe.
I work in at Northampton General on the ward I work at the minute. I've got a good working relationship with the other nurses.
The house we're living in at the moment, I think it's beautiful. It's a modern 2-bedroom house.
It's exactly what we want.
And if we could, I'd like to just pick it up and move it to Northampton.
So, they want a modern 2-bedroom house in Northampton, close to the town centre for the nightlife and train station for Andrew's commute back to his work in Birmingham. They have a budget of £120,000, but there's a snag, and it's a big one.
Where's your deposit? What have you done with it?
I think because we both were students, obviously a lot of debts from those days really, so we have got a lot of loans, so there's just no physical way of getting a deposit.
You haven't been able to save for a deposit, which means it's 100% mortgage, which is fine, but that does mean that it affects the choices that you can make.
Yeah, ideally we'd like to move to a property that requires just the basic...
Ready to move
Yeah.
Kirstie and I usually advise first-time buyers, buy something that you can adapt, something that you can add value to during the time that you live there. The market's not going to be racing away over the next few years, and if you want to outperform that market, you've got to find another way of doing it.
So, we've got a dilemma on our hands. Buying a property that needs work would be the way forward.
But Andrew and Ian have a penchant for modern, well-finished houses. Let's hope they'll take our advice on board.
I know we always say this, but it really feels like we've got our work cut out this time.
Oh, Phil, it's not the search that's difficult. It's their lack of financial acumen.
And they've got debts.
And they've got huge debts.
But there are many, many first-time buyers around the country that are in the same problem.
Armed with the boys' £120,000 budget and not a penny more, we've been searching for a 2-bed property to protect Andrew and Ian from future financial troubles.
And for my money, our first property would do just that.
This Victorian terrace is on the market for just under £115,000. I know they're mad for new builds, but I reckon this traditional home could be a winner.
All set?
Yeah. Ready to go?
This is it.
A year ago, this property would have been snapped up by a developer.
This house doesn't view very well. It's not lived in, it's scruffy, it hasn't even been cleaned. Without spending any money, you can paint, you can clean, you can improve. And that in itself would add a few percentage points to the value of the house. What's your initial thought?
First impressions, it's just not got the wow factor.
These boys are plain unrealistic. They've got a lot to learn.
You can't afford that wow factor.
Yeah.
There are houses which you can add value to. There are houses which can outperform the market, which can protect you from the possibility of a downturn. Those houses are not brand spanking new wow factor properties.
Do you believe it's properties such as this one?
Andrew and Ian could cheaply and easily create the wow factor here if they would just listen to our advice.
You don't need to change the carcass of the kitchen. It's all here.
Ian, would you want to spend money here?
I really don't think we've got extra money to spend.
That's the problem.
But it's not big money that's needed. A bit of hard graft would cheaply spruce up the inside to make it a home.
And as a bonus, the house's value rises, protecting them from any drop in property prices. And they save money by not paying a developer's premium.
You both recognise that you haven't been that financially astute in the past, and you can't continue like that if you're going to own a property and commit to that. You have to take control. You have to be responsible about where you spend your money and how you spend it. And this is a method by which you can
Be in control.
be in control and do something really sensible.
And why?
No, okay, I appreciate that.
The boys are skating on thin ice.
If they choose not to listen to our advice, that's absolutely fine. We've
It's
given
not
it.
fine.
We've
It's
given
not
it.
fine.
They don't seem to be taking it on board.
I just feel like I would prefer to carry on renting than live in a place like this. That's my gut feeling.
Makes me want to weep.
You just want it all perfect for when you move in.
That's my life, that's my style.
Would you take that risk?
No,
Have you ever
No,
taken
I
that risk?
but-
Have I ever
no,
taken that
look,
risk?
We're doing, Kirstie, don't get upset. We're doing our job. We pointed out the pitfalls.
I wouldn't be prepared to leave Birmingham and move into something like this. I really wouldn't.
So what do you reckon then?
Initial thoughts for me, I do appreciate that it's got good investment potential, but I wouldn't be willing to do any work for myself.
I feel like it's such a long way to have to move on from where we are now, and I just don't feel like I'd
He's
be
not
happy
willing
at all.
to stay in a place like this for any amount of time.
Clearly, these two are a bit work shy when it comes to doing up properties. And if they're so dead set on a modern house with wow factor, we'll show them one. But it has to be one that will hold its value.
And we found an exceptional modern build, on the market at just under 120,000. But we've had to move further out of town, away from the bars and clubs we know they love.
It's in Stonyhurst Mews near Kingsthorpe. The real plus is that this is a desirable area.
If they don't mind being away from the buzz of town, this low-maintenance option could be right up their street. In fact, it could be their street.
Anyone recognise this?
It's practically our house, yeah.
It's our house, but in a different town.
It's just been transported, I think.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, I think
Very
it's a
good,
thing,
yeah.
Now, this really should feel very similar to where you currently live.
It feels exactly the same, actually, yeah.
It's the same layout.
Just different furniture.
You know your way around this one.
I think we could tell you, couldn't we, where to go in here?
This place looks rock solid and the boys would feel right at home.
You obviously prefer modern. Why is that?
I think it's because we like this clean, fresh look when we move into somewhere, and the being able just to move into a property without having to do any major work as such.
So, no work and no vision required. Come on, boys, is that really what you want?
How does it feel being in a house which is so like yours?
I really like this house as it's so similar to the house we love in Birmingham.
Do you think the location is going to blow this house for Andrew?
Yeah, possibly.
What's in your mind as far as the distance is concerned then?
At the moment, the way I'm probably feeling that I'd be prepared to make that little bit further journey daily just because I'll be living in this house.
No surprise the boys like this one. They don't have to lift a finger.
We've been getting on quite well. Andrew seems to like it. How about you guys?
Well, Ian's 90% sure that Andrew won't like it.
Andrew won't like it.
Would you? Why?
Because of the commute, I thought that perhaps it'd be too much with going on the bus than on the train.
Yeah, it's all about the house, though, I think.
Yeah.
At the moment, because it's exactly the same as what we're used to, I think I'm prepared at the minute, even though I've not properly thought it through, to do that extra commute. But obviously, when we think it through, maybe it'll all be a bit different. But I'm keen to see other properties still, what are nearer to the train station, and maybe, hopefully, totally different to this, because then maybe that will change my mind completely. But at the moment, I'm 95% sure that I like this house.
95%? That's enough for me.
Well, not for me. I'm determined to stop them thinking short term and want them to look at places with real potential. And do you know what? I'll make them listen.
They have said they'd like to see properties closer to the town centre. And, wait for it, not just modern ones.
This is great news because there's simply no way these two could afford a modern build in town.
Our next appointment could be more their thing, especially the great location.
We're in Abington, right in the town centre.
I really like the buzz of this place because there is a lot of pubs and a lot of socialising that can be done down in this sort of area. So.
That is brilliant.
It's another Victorian 2 up and 2 down, but very different from the one they've already rejected, and it's really worth showing them.
It's on the market at just under their $120,000 budget, and hopefully they'll recognise this house has potential.
Now, the walls are apricot, I think that's a polite way of putting it, and the carpet is aged. But you can see under the carpet is the floorboards, and behind this wood chip wallpaper are good solid walls. But this house needs a lot less work.
I really like it, first impressions.
Oh, great.
I like it.
Good potential.
Compared to definitely the other property. This, I think, is more to what my expectations would have been for a property in Abington, and we've still got the opportunity to obviously increase value by doing
You definitely can without a shadow of doubt.
We'll come around to your way of thinking now.
Do my ears deceive me? Adding value? I think we're getting somewhere.
Do you still have a preference for modern?
I think it's kind of gone down a little bit now, actually, because we can see that we could actually put that modern feel into this place and spend, you know, certain time concentrating maybe on the kitchen and then work our way through the house and eventually lead up into the bathroom and bedrooms and stuff. So.
Absolutely agree.
At last, these two are listening and learning. Andrew can see that traditional terraces can have the benefits of modern properties.
And you can make a bit of a profit on them too. Finally, we're cooking on gas.
It's got potential.
I was going to say I can easily see the potential again for this one because it needs less work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the work that horrifies you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I want to be relaxing. I don't want to be coming home and spending hours doing it. And it also the money as well. But this just seems so much nicer than the last one.
Bingo, they're converted. They can see this house works equally as well as the new build.
The house has got a nice feel to it. I can see its potential, where in the other one I just couldn't.
Can we just say that this is a maybe?
Definitely a maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely a maybe.
Another maybe is just not good enough. I think these guys have now got the vision to see real potential, and I think we can stretch their imaginations further.
Our next appointment's in Far Cotton. It's not as buzzy as the last location and a bit further from town, but I reckon the additional space and potential here would more than make up for the extra walk to the bars. The snag is the price, £122,500, £2,500 over budget.
Green sitting room.
It makes a change to our green carpet. First impressions, I really like it.
Yeah, I do.
Really like it.
Why?
Smart, movable in.
It probably contradicts everything we've said about the modern things because this has got a lot of period features.
It's considerably bigger than other houses that we've come from, but it's a fraction more expensive.
When I look at this property and compare it to what we've seen, I'm surprised how much more we would get for that little bit extra, that couple of grand extra.
Hold the front page. They've only seen the front room and already they think this is the best of the bunch.
We've got 3 bedrooms, all of them are generous size, plus the attic.
Yeah.
There's huge potential up there. It's boarded, there's power up there. You have a look that way. There's the bathroom, which is beautiful. In fact, why don't you guys explore?
This is a nice size.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think the 4-poster bed probably does overpower the bedroom a little bit. It's not our
It's a little
taste,
smaller
is
than
it?
it is, but
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the house then?
Personally, I think this is probably the one.
Yeah, I think it probably
really
is
do
as well.
think it probably is.
So, what do you think?
I'm shocked, actually. I must admit, I am really, really shocked that this just for
He's
that
looking
little
for the
bit
catch,
extra.
and you're
Yeah,
looking for
I'm
the
waiting
problem,
for you to
why
say
it's so
that
cheap.
it's about to fall down or something like that.
No, not as far as we know. We've had a good look over it.
What about you, Ian?
Yeah, this is the one, actually.
By George, I think we've done it. Over the last 4 houses, we've managed to turn these boys from new build obsessives into house hunters looking to make sound financial decisions. I'm so proud of them.
But don't forget, this is a massive change of heart. Let's hope their newfound zeal for period properties doesn't evaporate overnight.
We've had a long, hard think about it last night and stuff, and I think we're still really keen to go back to the Far Cotton property.
Brilliant news, but remember, it's £2,500 over budget. It's time to talk figures.
This road flooded in 1998. We've looked into the insurance issues, and they've taken a number of precautions, and the insurance here would be £32 a month.
So basically, that's
barely higher than what it would be normally. You did want to know what the council tax was. It's Band A, £768.
That's fantastic.
That's one of the cheaper.
Everything you're telling me so far is making it more and more positive,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything's
and
sounding
appealing.
great. Yeah.
So far, so good. The boys seem happy with the finer points. Let's check out the bigger picture. I think one of the best aspects of this house is the potential to convert the attic space in the future.
We've got reasonable head height here now, and they've boarded it out and insulated it, so they've done a fair amount of work. Not going to be too complicated to take it forward, but it would give you a 4th bedroom.
So this house is future-proof. If they need more room in a few years' time, they can get it without the need to move, and the rest of the space really stacks up. But remember, it is £2,500 over their budget.
I'm really happy.
We're all very happy bunnies.
I'm over the moon. I really like this house, and hopefully you two will get us the right price on it.
Oh, we'd love to try.
With a 100% mortgage, £120,000 is Andrew and Ian's absolute maximum outlay.
So this is crunch time. We have to get the money off.
I've had an introductory chat with the agent, and I reckon that the vendor's expecting about 120. But I also think that we should try and use this buyer's market to your advantage, and we might try and shave a little bit from that.
Yeah.
Jonathan, good afternoon. It's Phil Spencer here. Hello. We've now had our chat. As far as the actual level of offer is concerned, they are minded to offer 119,000. Good luck, Jonathan. Thanks very much. Bye.
If the vendor says no, that's that. There's no more money in the kitty to go any higher. All we can do is wait.
That's Jonathan. Good luck, everyone. Hello. Jonathan, hi. Jonathan, can I put the phone down and discuss that with them now? And I'll give you a ring straight back. OK. Thanks. Doesn't get easy, doesn't it? Deal's yours. 119.
Really?
That's a great house. It's a whole house, a 3-bed house. I haven't got a 3-bed house.
Thank you very much, you both, really.
Well done.
Thank you.
And once the deal was done, there was no stopping them. They moved in 2 months later.
To be honest, after the boys' reaction to that first terraced house that we saw, I never thought they'd plump to buy a terraced house. I couldn't be more surprised, but I'm very eager to get back and see what they've done to their new home.
A year ago, Andrew had the worst end of the deal. He was working in Birmingham, and this move to Northampton meant a 2-hour daily commute. I'm dying to know whether he's still standing.
How's your commute going?
Really well. A new position come up in a new shop. For missing hour work in Milton Keynes, which is about a 40-minute bus journey away.
That is fantastic. Now, I've got great hopes for what you've done to this house.
I think you like it. We've totally redecorated it all, so...
Totally redecorated?
We have. Everywhere's been redecorated.
I'm already impressed.
When they bought it, this house was a little dated, and Ian and Andrew didn't rest on their laurels. It seems a truckload of paint and yards of fabric have transformed the sitting room and the bedrooms, giving the cool, contemporary look that these two craved. Ah, the lads have come on a long way.
This is a transformation. I have to say, I am very, very impressed. It takes a lot to impress me. The green has certainly been eradicated.
Yes, definitely. That definitely wasn't to our taste.
So who is the DIY king?
Andrew did most of the work, I must say, and
Yeah,
his family.
my family
I did a little
helped
bit,
as well.
but you did most of the work.
He was a good supervisor.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely, and I think we've made a big difference.
You have made a huge difference.
Well, as Ian has obviously been the chief tea maker up to now, I think it's Andrew's turn, and Ian can give me a spin upstairs.
Aha! Oh, wow. Now that's what I call a proper bed. It is beautiful.
This has obviously been a labour of love for Andrew, but I'm interested to find out whether our new build obsessive Ian has fallen for the charms of this little old terrace.
So, looking out, it's a terrace street.
Yes.
You were always rather after a semi-detached new build.
Yeah, I would still prefer a new build, but the house is quite nice. I'm happy with it now, but I would prefer a new build, definitely. I'd move to a new build tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Just why?
They're high maintenance, it's drafty, there's still
It's
lots...
not drafty. Look at that double glazing.
There's still lots of work to do.
Work to do? Well, for Andrew, maybe. Honestly, you just can't please everybody.
I am very, very, very impressed.
Thank you.
Not only is the makeover impressive, in only a year the boys have transformed their fortunes.
The good news is that we've had the house valued and it has gone up to £126,000.
Oh, that is good news.
Now that's over £7,000 more than you paid for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great news that they've made money on the house. According to the agent, it's broken the ceiling of prices on the street. And in the future, they can still convert the loft to add even more value.
Anything you could do to the property to add value before you sell it, you must make sure that you do it.
So it's worth investigating.
Yeah.
The boys have outperformed the market and made their first successful investment. I'm proud of them. Time for a celebratory drink at their new local.
It was a big move, Birmingham to Northampton. How have you found that, swapping of friends and all of that kind of thing?
Well, my friends were here
Your
all the while,
friends are here, yeah.
and I've got a good job, so I'm quite happy to come back, really.
I've got a different group of friends, I suppose, in a way, than I did before I came here. I still can go into Birmingham, it's only an hour up the road, so I still go out and, I'll go out and see my friends there, every so often. So it hasn't changed my life that much, to be honest. It just means I've got friends in two different places.
If someone said to you, what's the number one benefit that has come from buying that house, what would you say?
I know what it is. For me, it is being able to have your own freedom.
For me, it's living in Northampton, obviously, where I work, where my friends are, and where I'm happiest, I think, really, so yeah.
This is fantastic, a sound investment and a fabulous home. I love a happy ending.
Here's to the right decision and to buying your own home.
Yeah, cheers.
They heeded our advice, ignored the lure of the new build, and they've really added value to their house. They deserve a genuine pat on the back.
Just over a year ago, Kirstie and I came here to sunny Brighton to help find a suitable home for an expanding family. We did find some stunning seaside places, but the path to the perfect property was a rocky one.
If Charles doesn't like this one, I think we might have a fight on our hands.
Ooh!
You haven't got a leg to stand on, my darling.
Perhaps I better shut up now.
Charles Allen and Sarah Metzen lived in London with their toddler William. They loved their life in the capital and were reluctant to move. But with Charles's new job in Brighton and with baby number 2 on the way, it was time for a move to the coast in search of a more relaxed lifestyle.
Brighton has always been popular among Londoners wanting a similar way of life without the big city problems. Apart from the pull of the sea, Brighton has always had a reputation as a cosmopolitan and lively place to be, as well as offering young families a wide choice of good primary and secondary schools. All this, and it's within an hour's commute of London.
At the time, house prices were virtually on a par with London ones, so incomers were often disappointed to find their money didn't go as far as they thought.
Charles starts his new job in 3 weeks, so Phil and I must get cracking.
Brighton is a town which has a huge student population, a large gay community. Don't you think it's about time you gave up?
No, actually. I think that Brighton's also got a lot of families living here, and just because you've got children doesn't mean you can't live in a city.
How about the boundaries of the search as far as areas concerned?
We need to make sure that we live close to a good school, definitely within their catchment area.
Sarah and Charles's budget is a handsome 550 grand. For this, they want a central period property with 4 bedrooms and 3 reception rooms. And at the top of their list, near a good school.
30 years ago, you bought a house because you liked it. Simple as that. But nowadays, there are so many more factors involved in choosing a home. And for many parents, myself included, being in the right catchment area for the best schools is the absolute key. But it all comes at a price. You can expect to pay up to 1/3 more for a house that guarantees your child a place at a top-rated school. But remember, both catchment areas and schools can change over time. So if you're thinking about spending over the odds on a house because it's in the right location, Make sure you look into it carefully.
There are lots of good schools and period properties in family-friendly Preston Park, a 20-minute walk from the centre of Brighton, and where we are starting our search.
Here we are, first house of the day.
The house we've found here is a great buy. It's a bright, three-storey mid-terrace with lots of character.
Downstairs, it has a knocked-through sitting room with original features and a sunny kitchen, and upstairs are 5 really good-sized bedrooms and a family bathroom.
The garden's a bit small and the downstairs space could be bigger, but it's way under their budget at $420,000, and I've got an idea about how they can increase the space.
Now, we've chosen this house to show you, first of all, for 2 reasons. One is the schools, because that's a key thing for you. There are 2 schools within half a mile of here.
Okay.
Catchment areas are never going to be a problem. Half a mile's just too close for it to become a problem. And the other one is price. This is on the market at $420,000, so comfortable.
The lack of separate adult and family rooms downstairs is a bit of a drawback. One simple solution would be to extend the kitchen out into the dead area to the side of the house, almost doubling the size of the room.
Quite serious work, structural work.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd find living in the house with potentially 2 small babies whilst that was going on, but it is nice to have the option to add value.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, what it lacks in reception space, it more than makes up for in bedroom space.
Wow.
Obviously, at the moment, it's the study of the current vendor. It would be the master bedroom. And it is the most fantastic, sunny room with a view of the sea.
It's a lovely light room, and I like the view down the road.
Yes.
That appeals to me.
I have a thing about houses which look down the road.
I think it's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think this is a good outlook.
Wait till you see the room above, Sarah.
This seems to me to be the dream study. Now, that in the summer would be quite something.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really big space. Enough for 2 or 3 desks.
And amazing views.
Sarah seems pretty taken with this house, but what does Charles make of it?
I like the house, and
Me too.
I particularly like the fact that it has the number of bedrooms that it has, and you can make different use of them. The downside is the garden, which is not a significant improvement, if any improvement, on the size of our current garden, and is overlooked.
But is it a good start?
It's a good start.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, particularly at the price that you said it's on.
Next up, and we're sticking to Preston Park, as we know the schools are good and they like the location. If the last house compromised on garden and downstairs space, this one is a winner on both counts.
It's a huge double-fronted house with 4 large reception rooms and kitchen downstairs and 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms upstairs. It's been let out to students and needs a bit of TLC, but space-wise, it's second to none.
It also has 3 garages and off-street parking, and a good primary school is just across the road.
The snag is that they'll have to pay for all this, as the house is £5,000 over budget. But as ever, price is negotiable.
Come on in. To what can only be described as quite an impressive hallway.
Room for the pushchair here, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic dining room. It really depends whether you like this look or not.
Very strange.
This is a fantastic room.
I really like the idea of it. I love double-fronted houses, and I've been all the time saying to Charles, I want space.
The road bothers me.
But if you want to live, you know...
I know. I think, yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's going to be about compromises, but the road is an issue.
Of all the compromises that we're probably going to have to make, though, being near a busy road is one that I could do without it hurting.
Could there be trouble in paradise? Sarah can see that this is a spacious house in a good location for schools.
But the busy road is definitely putting Charles off. Who's going to win this little battle?
There's nothing wrong with odd-shaped rooms, but this house has too many odd-shaped rooms, I think. I can't see us living here.
This house is really doing it for me.
Yeah, I can tell. Sarah's flashing up like a little Belisha beacon.
Yeah, I like this house.
Well, why?
Because it's big.
It's doing it for me less, mainly because I think it's a mishmash of things. I can see us wanting to spend a significant amount on this house and not having the money to do it.
Yeah, you're dead right, you wouldn't have the money to do it.
So, 1-0 to Charles. But tomorrow, Sarah has the last word. We've got to raise the stakes, and we have with a real cracker of a family home. It's in Hove, which is a bit further away from the centre of Brighton than our last two houses, but the trade-off is a much bigger garden and nearer to the sea. This semi-detached house has 3 reception rooms, a kitchen and shower room downstairs, and 4 lovely bedrooms and bathroom upstairs, plus that elusive family garden. It comes in at 10 grand under their 550 grand maximum budget, so fingers crossed.
Coming straight in, we've got a door on either side, and then this is the main reception room. It's painted a very, very dark colour, but even so, it still feels light.
Yeah.
It is a really big room.
It's a really nice sized room, and you could have children's paraphernalia down one end
and adults up here. Absolutely. You've got a
this side.
totally separate dining room.
The dining room's a real bonus. This house gives them that separate adult and child space they're looking for. It's pretty much perfect.
Wow.
This is the one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
I absolutely love it. If Charles doesn't like this one, I think we might have a fight on our hands.
Ooh.
Coming out the back, you see that the house is in the perfect place on the street because you've got an open aspect.
I can see William running around and playing in the garden. It's a really nice size.
Speaking of William, you'll want to know about schools.
Yes, please.
West Hove School is about a 10 minutes walk.
Okay.
Apart from the fabulous location with great schools, the inside space really works for them too, especially the bathroom.
Gosh.
What do you think to this? This is the original bath from the house, from the 1927 refit.
Really?
They had it re-enamelled.
You're joking.
No, isn't it fantastic? Look at this.
This is fantastic. I love the taps. Look at them.
This is the clincher.
They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
It really is. It's just a
And the
wonderful,
2 sinks.
wonderful bathroom.
Now, I've always wanted 2 sinks.
No, 2 sinks is a great luxury.
This house appears to be a real winner.
I think it's fan-bloody-tastic, I have to say.
I like everything about this house.
So another no then.
I love this house. I really like this house. I'm struggling to find anything I don't like about this house.
I really like it. I like the street. I like the feel of it. My one reservation is that this house has been so beautifully restored that we really wouldn't be able to add anything to it.
Unless you went into the loft.
Unless we went into the loft.
But that's such a feeble...
No, it's not. It's not. No, because it's an important consideration because the house in this street with the loft extension, you'd be looking at about 600,000. Even if you spent 25 grand on doing the loft and added 45 grand to the value of the house, you'd still be doing well.
The Hove House may look like a dead cert, but Charles and Sarah have always said they wanted to live in the heart of Brighton because of the buzz of city life. So before they make their minds up, I want to show them a great house which I think could knock Hove off pole position.
This stunning townhouse is slap bang in the heart of the trendy Seven Dials area, and it has good schools as well.
It's a 4-storey Georgian house. On the ground floor, it has a sitting room and kitchen. And upstairs, there's a bathroom and 4 bedrooms. Outside, there's a really pretty decked town garden. But it's on the market at just under £580,000.
It is priced a little over budget, but we have a plan.
A cunning plan. Charles, you come with me and I will illustrate the cunning plan.
Sarah, you come up this way.
The clever thing is that there's a flat in the basement that could be let out to help pay off the larger mortgage they'd need.
Actually, this would be the sitting room of the self-contained flat. Bedroom at the front, sitting room, kitchen, bathroom. The agent believes we could get about £650 a month in rent for this flat.
Right. How much are they asking for the house?
Well, the thing is, you need that £650 because they're asking £579,950 for the house.
Ouch.
I know renting out a flat wasn't part of their grand scheme, but in the long term they could turn it into a fantastic family home. This must give Charles food for thought.
That's the family bathroom. And the weakness of the house has to be that because there is only one at the moment. But there is tons of other space through the bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 on each level.
I like it. You know, it's similar to where we're living at the moment in lots of ways, but it's bigger. So I think it's going to be tough.
Now, this can only be described as a Brighton-style garden.
Yeah, and it's lovely.
It is lovely. It absolutely is.
Sarah's going to say it's not kid-friendly, it's not big enough.
She is going to say it's not big enough, and that is the Brighton compromise.
Yeah. I love this house. I love it. I think it's great.
Strongest feeling of any of the houses?
For me, I mean, without my sensible head on, I would definitely want to live here.
I'm a great one for heart over head, but he has only seen the basement.
Amazing. And Sarah's pretty keen too, but at least she's had a proper viewing.
Gosh, this is a nice sized room, isn't it?
It's 22 foot wide.
You can see quite far, can't you?
I think it's lovely for you. And yet you're right in the thick of things here.
Yeah.
Schools, you've got Downs School and Stanford School, both under a mile.
OK. It's going to be a real dilemma, isn't it?
I'm afraid it is.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, this is a turn up for the books. I thought Sarah was 100% for the Hove house, but now they're both having a wobble. It's that location thing again.
On a personal level, this is my favourite.
I was completely sold on the one we've just seen, but this has now completely changed my mind.
Changed your mind?
Well, yeah, because I thought that there wouldn't be a house that would be better than that, and this, in lots of ways, is. But that's because it suits the life that we're sort of leaving behind.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I wasn't expecting that smile still there.
Well, I really like the house, and we could make it into a family home, but I just can't imagine children having any fun at all in that garden. It's just not...
I can see them having fun. I think it might be dangerous fun. And there's not kick-around space, and there's not riding a tricycle.
So this is your dream house, and if you say no to it, you're doing it entirely on account of your children's needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope you feel good. I hope you feel really good. I can see the halo. Look, little halo.
It's been quite a journey for Sarah and Charles, and their search has thrown up some interesting dilemmas.
But I'm sure that after a good night's sleep, they'll have made up their minds.
And I think we know which one it's going to be.
Next morning, and no surprises, we're back in Hove. And first things first, Charles and Sarah want to check out the local primary school.
An expert!
It's a good school, good Ofsted report. The nearer you are, the more likely you are to get in, and you're half a mile from this school.
The school's fine, so it's back to the house where William adds his seal of approval.
You look at home here, don't you? Should we have a look upstairs? Should we pick a bedroom for you?
The only concern for Charles is whether the asking price of 540 grand is fair.
But I've been doing my homework.
In June of last year, this house next door, which is an exact replica, was sold at £499,950.
Right.
And prices in this area have since risen by 11%, so the asking price seems fair.
Can you see yourself living here now?
I can see myself living here, yes.
Now we just have to nail the deal.
I think you want to buy that house.
I think we do.
It won my heart as soon as I saw it. It really did.
My advice is that we open proceedings with an offer at 520.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Although this is a good house at a fair price, they're in a great position and we can afford to put in at least one cheeky offer.
Alex, hi, it's Phil Spencer. Hello. We've had our chat, and after a fair amount of angst and deliberations, I do have an offer for you. Whilst the offer is lower than your clients will hope for, it couldn't come from two people who are more serious and more committed to it. They are prepared to pay $520,000 for that house. Great stuff. Thanks a lot. Bye.
A reply comes back within minutes.
Hello, Phil Spencer. Hi. That was quick work. Brave talk. They know they're in a great position and they know the market's not in a great position. Okay. Many thanks. Bye.
A flat no. A little surprising. But I'm still determined to get them a good deal, so we agree that 527 is our final bid. It's a fair way under the asking price, but a good offer in a slow market. Surely they'll bite this time.
Alex, hi. Well, I appreciate all that you've done, Alex. All I can say is that
They're crazy.
they'll All I can say is that the offer will remain on the table, but sadly it won't be increased. Thanks a lot. Bye. This is a bit of a game. Property buying always is, and we're involved in that game, so this is part of it. You might have a sleepless night.
We're in shock. We thought they'd grab at this watertight offer.
But I think if we sit tight, they might have second thoughts. It's a risky strategy, but gotta be worth a go. 7 days later, they got back in touch.
Well, I finally got some news. It's taken quite a few days of toing and froing, but the offer of 527 has just been accepted.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Ah, I do love a happy ending.
But 2 days later came the devastating news. The house Sarah and Charles had fallen in love with had been taken off the market, and with a second baby on the way, time was running out. We handed over our contacts and they continued to search in Brighton. And 4 painstaking weeks later, they found their new home just a few streets away in Hove.
And this is it. These guys had more than their fair share of ups and downs, but they did manage to buy the seaside home that they'd always dreamt about. It looks pretty smart on the outside, so I can't wait to see what happens inside.
It's over a year since I last saw Sarah and Charles, so I can't wait to meet the new arrival. For $540,000, they bought a 4-bed property with plenty of scope to expand. They got the separate living room and playroom they longed for, and a huge garden complete with summer house.
Hello. Good morning. Nice to see you all.
And you. This is Martha.
Hello, Martha.
Come on in.
Come on in. Yeah. Big families now.
Certainly,
Big family house.
This is the main front room. Our space. So
your grown-up space.
Grown-up
It does
space.
seem very grown-up. No toys of yours, William.
No, but this room is William's room. Sarah will open up.
This is my room.
Yes. So we got the separation of the.
You have. That's what you were always
the
after.
playroom and the main room for us. Yeah.
Now, how long did you have to wait to find this after losing the other one?
About 4 weeks. I saw it. I got a call from the estate agent, and I saw it after work. Called Sarah from the bus. Told her that I'd seen the house for us, didn't I?
Yeah. And was it instant the moment you came in here?
For both of us, it was. Yeah.
And how do you feel it compares to the one that got away?
Well, we're pleased with it. I think we prefer it to the one that got away. It's got more space. It's a better location, and it's got more character. Actually, it's got real character. This house, and that was something that we were always after. So it ticks the boxes.
The house has a wealth of original features over the 3 floors and plenty of space for the family. So much so, in fact, that the children have taken over the whole of the top floor. William gets his own room, and Martha gets a beautiful new nursery. And they've got a fantastic master bedroom. I love what they've done here. On a separate floor, there's a huge guest room and large bathroom. Charles was always after a house where he could add value. I'm wondering if he has plans.
It's in great condition.
It is, yeah.
But are there things that you'd like to do over time?
We are thinking about converting this room back into a bedroom and making a smaller but still good-sized bathroom, breaking into the spare room, because that's a big double room.
From an investment point of view, it'd be a great thing to do. There is a big difference. There's a big leap in value between a 4-bedroom house and a 5-bedroom house. You paid, what, $540 for this? I've had a chat to local agents, and they reckon that a 5-bedroom house here would be up to $590. There aren't that many of them, and you've got the leap.
Yeah.
The building work for adding the extra bedroom would cost around £3,000, but Charles should expect to see an extra $50,000 added to the value of the house. Quite an impressive return. So what about the garden?
What a stunning garden.
It is, isn't it?
It's huge.
We're really pleased with the garden.
I should think you are. That's 3 times the size of anything else that we saw.
Yeah, we did really well. It's perfect.
And that's a...
Amazing summer house, I know.
It's more substantial than a summer house. And tell me about William's schooling. How did that turn out? Are you happy with that? I mean, he's at nursery now.
He's at nursery now for 3 days a week, and there are 2 very good primary schools that we're in the catchment area for, and they're feeder schools for 2 good secondary schools. So hopefully we're sorted for the longish term.
It is a superb house. I'm massively impressed, and I only wish that I'd found it myself. I'm just so pleased for Charles and Sarah. They eventually got exactly what it was that they were after. I particularly like that grown-up room. I think I could do with one of those myself.